In this video, we're going to start working on our Docker application. So I am inside in this directory temp and then slash docker underscore tutorials. Also, I'm using tmux. So if you see me splitting screens and like I can split the screens many different ways. So basically just remember that I'm using the tmux, and like you can actually see me switching the screens like that. So all of it is because of the tmux. In terms of the tutorial, we're gonna be following this guide here, which we can actually download from the GitHub of the Docker. So for that, I will say git clone and the repo. The way this project is set up by Docker is that basically this one has two uh, projects in it. So once we go into this getting started directory, you will see a Docker file in there, and wherever you see a Docker file, that means that that's a Docker project. So we can actually look into it, and it's a big project, right? It is creating the applications, all those kind of things, and we're gonna go through that. The other project is inside the directory app. If you see the content here, there is nothing in there, but we will be creating everything inside this application. So the Docker project, which is in the main directory, is the basically the guide. So this Docker actually runs a guide, and this is like an HTML project, just like a front-end web application project, uh, powered by the Docker file. And once you run that one, it's gonna open up the directory on a particular host. And the application project which we're gonna be creating has just the source code of a backend code. Also has an HTML in it, which we're gonna be touching, but that's gonna be running on a different project, right? That's gonna be running on a different port, and we're gonna be able to access that. In terms of the Docker, a couple of basic commands. If you write Docker, it's gonna give you a helpline in there, like sorry, a list of commands which you can use, right? And you can get the same kind of help by saying Docker dash dash help, and it's gonna give you all. It's gonna show you all the commands. As I mentioned, just remember that there are four main components of Docker, right? You have Docker image, and in order to see all the images, you can do ls, and it's gonna show you these are the images I already downloaded, right? Then we have a Docker container, and these are all the containers running right now. The one I have been running is the same getting started uh, project where I am, but not over here. I do have a similar repository on another one, so it is running on the port 85. And because I kind of cross-checking the tutorial on the browser, so that's why it's already running. And we're going to be shutting down these things and creating everything from scratch too. Then we have our Docker. um, Third one is the volume. You can check, you can see that we do have the volumes in here. Then we have a Docker network, and these are the networks we have, right? So anything with the Docker, like any of these four things, the image, the container, um, the volume, and the network all can be ls, we can do rm for removing them and stuff like that, and we're going to be looking into it. So the first thing you need to do, I said that just clone that, right? Clone the repository, then we're going to be inside this directory, right? And then uh, in order to run it, you will run a command docker run, right? And then we're going to say dash dp 80 docker slash getting started. If you run this command, right, what I am saying here is that I need to run it. First of all, I didn't build it, right? So I know that it's gonna look for something in my images. If I couldn't find this image, uh, it's gonna actually download it from online, and it's gonna start running it. I'm saying you need to run it. Dash dp are the flags, where dash d means that you need to run it in the background, and d stands for daemon, and p is the port number. The first port is always our local port, and the second port is the application port, and this is where we're gonna be like where what image we want to run it from. But I won't do it there because we already have the docker file, and we do not want it to be getting all that stuff from the docker one. What I would do is I will say docker, right, and then run, right, and then daemon as in background and port number. I already have a Linux server running on the port 80. I'm not able to use that. So I will say 3001 is the local port, and application port is gonna be 80 because that's in the code. If you look at the so let's just look into this docker file. And just so that you know that this is also the default port. Port 80 is the HTTP port too. So grep -rn, we have it in the 80. So just remember that the 80 is also the default port for the HTTP. So it doesn't have to be. But like what I was trying to show you is, like, let's talk about the other project inside the getting started, which is the app project. So if you go to the source and index.js, you will see that our app declares that the app port is 3000, right? So similarly, the other project, the getting started project, which is basically the tutorial project or the documentation project, runs on the 80. So again, I'm gonna say docker run -dp, run it on 3001 colon 80 is the port of the docker of the this documentation project, and then dot means take it from this directory, and I have to name it. I have to say that, okay, getting started dot. So it actually, what in order to see what is going on with the docker, and then the container. So first of all, because we already had our getting started, so let's just delete that. Let's just delete that. In order to do that, we'll say docker remove container, remove, and this. It says we need to force it. We'll say -f because it's being used. Now if I run this one, it was successful. Now if I want to see what is running, and there nothing is running. And for some reason it is exiting. And what could be the reason for it to exit? Again, docker run. Let's change the port here to 85 colon 80. Getting started. Docker container ls. Still don't have it. Okay, still don't have it. And now it started that. So didn't like this dot at the end. And all we needed to do is to do the docker and then the container and then docker container and then sorry, docker run dash dp, the port numbers and the getting started. Right. The reason I can explain it to you, docker image ls, we already had that getting started, right? So if I delete that one, docker image remove and the image id, so I need to force it because we have a container which is using it. Container is using it. Docker container ls. Let's just delete that. Docker container remove and this id with the flag -f. So we got rid of that. Now we want to get rid of the image, and we're able to delete the image, which is the docker, which is the getting started image. Docker image and then docker image ls. So we don't have those ones, right? So docker run dash dp 85 colon 80 for the getting started. Unable to find the image locally. Error does not exist. Denied request denied. -t getting started. Actually, let's just build it. Docker build -t and then let's call it getting started from here. Yes, that's what I wanted. So basically docker t build -t is the tag. I'm telling him to build an image from the local directory and docker build -t and tag it as getting started. Now if I go to docker image ls, you will see that I have a getting started not from the local project, and now I have the image, but I do not have any container, right? So in order for me to kind of start the container, I will say docker run dp 85 colon 80 getting started. Docker run container ls, and we have it running. Now if I run localhost 8080, I will be able to see that. Sorry, 85. If I like do it's been a while when I ran uh, the browser inside the terminal. I think wgrep uh, run browser in terminal. What was that? elinks, no, not this one. W3M. Let's see if I still have that. W3M localhost colon 85. Actually, let's just do it. Split the screens here and do W3M localhost colon 85 unknown URL W3M http colon slash slash localhost colon 85. Yep, and it is working. Okay, nice. So just to recap, when I was doing Docker at the beginning, and the tutorial was assuming that no image is there, no nothing is in there. So what he was asking me to do is like docker run dash dp 8080, or the two ports, right? And then getting docker slash getting started, right? So of course, this is the first command. If you run, you do not have any image downloaded. So what it's gonna happen is like it's gonna actually get an image from the docker slash getting started online, and that it's gonna put it in there, and then it is actually doing two things. It is doing that docker build command in order to create the image, and then it is running a container off of that image. We didn't want to do that. Like I didn't want to do that. What I did is like docker build uh, build dash t is the tag that what do I want to call it, and then uh, I can name it. I can name it anything, right? And then I tell him where to get it from. So I say local directory, and don't like it. Test image does like it. So don't like it the name, maybe the capital letter or so many hyphens or whatever. So now if I once I run that command, I can go to docker image ls and see that in here test image. And if I want to run the container, which I don't have it right now, I only have this getting started one. So if I want to do a docker run on maybe 4003 port number, and 4080 is the application port, and then I say that run this test dash image, unable to find the image locally. Oh, I'm sorry about that. So it should be as run as a daemon and add this port number. Now docker image ls, sorry, docker container ls is gonna show you that one. I'm gonna be cleaning it up by removing everything and going from the scratch. So we actually docker container remove this one. That was not successful. So let's do -f and docker image ls. It's gonna have so many of these, so all I needed is the first one. So we're gonna say docker image remove this. Don't like it. Again, have to force it. What? Unable to delete this image is being used by the running container. Docker image remove forcefully. Really? Docker container ls. Of course, that's not using it. Docker image ls. Docker image remove this. On stage docker image remove MySQL1. Docker image remove this one, and docker image remove this one. Now what do we have? Image ls. We still have two. Docker image remove. Doesn't like it. Unable to delete, cannot be forced. Image is being used by the running container this. Okay. Docker container ls. Did I delete the wrong one? Maybe I did. Oh yeah. Okay. Docker container remove that. Don't like it, so I need to force it. Now image remove this. Need to force it. Okay. So right now docker image ls has nothing in there. So docker build -d for getting started. Over here, docker build, sorry, t as in tag, and then getting started. And from the current directory, it's going to be creating an image in here. Again, we do not have any container. Docker container ls, no container. In order to run a container, we're going to be saying docker run d as in daemon, p as in port, and we're going to be running on port 85 of the Linux machine, area of the application, and getting started. And that's how we're going to be running the container. Again, we did recap so many times, and we are good over here, right? So, and the last thing is that I'm just gonna give you, like, let's just start the application too, because I do wanted to cover the application. So we will go to cd app, right? And in terms of the application, it's a Node.js application. You can actually look at the tree source. So we have index.js, which actually says that the application should run on 3000, and you should be like, you can do add items, delete items, get items, and update items, and that's it. And like in terms of it actually supports two things, MySQL and SQLite, and we're going to be going through that. So in order to create a Docker project, we'll say vim docker file without any extension, and I'm gonna copy paste it from the tutorial here. So basically from means that get that image node, because we don't have it, so it's going to be downloading it from the source. It's a node with 12 alpine is the version number. We need to run this application, that no cache, add this, then python g++ make. This is the application we're going to be command we're going to be running. You need to have the current directory. Copy is like get it from there and put it over there. Yarn install production, and the command is that the node source index that will actually run the node application. So once you have that docker file, again, in order to create the image, you will say docker build -t, and let's call it to do list python app. Docker build. Oh, need to tell it from where to get it from, right? Yes. So it's gonna basically download the node, the version we said, and yeah, right. And once it is able to create the image, we're gonna be creating a container based on that. And in order to, uh, it is gonna take some time in order to create that image. So it does take a little bit in order to download all the node related files. We also mentioned GCC, make, all those things. So that those are gonna be downloaded too. So oops, in Tmux you cannot actually go browse scroll up or scroll down like that. You have to press Control B and then open bracket in order to scroll up. And so again, just recapping here, that whenever you need to create an image, you need to create an image, you need to say docker build -t for tagging that image, and like you will give it a name and then the directory to pick it from. And then in order to run the container, you will say docker dash, again docker run, and then the flags can be D and P for daemon and P as in port number. So now we have an error. Error is that node is incompatible. So yeah, we got a problem in here because I am currently running node which is 12.12, but in order to change the node I will say sudo n14 in order to change the node version, and then run it one more time. So the node installed on my computer was different, or less than what it was expecting. Again, didn't like it. Let's just make it 1214. Or actually, it says 18. Let's just do node 18. Okay. Uh, okay, let's try it one more time. Hopefully this should be able to fetch the failed running this one again. Why? The node is incompatible with this module. Expected version is this or this or greater than this. Got 12 point. What is the node version in here? Error just found incompatible module. Vim docker file. Let me just make it latest. Docker build t. First of all, let's check the image ls. We only have right one docker build, tag it to low build, and then tag it to node. We were calling it to do list python app here. Yeah, it's gonna download it again. Let's give it a second. Not sure, I just ran it the other day and everything was fine. Okay, in this video we're just gonna just wanted to show you one other command after this creation of the image in order to run the replication. We're gonna be using docker run, and then we're gonna be giving it a port number and the name of the image. And let's see what it does after that. There is something wrong because the local system should not be the issue, right? That is basically what we are getting out of the docker, because whatever you have installed locally should not bother that. But I was really not expecting that. As I said, the other day I was doing it and it was running fine. Let's just see what do we have in here. cd temp and then docker tutorial cd getting started, and then we were in the app vim package.json index. Doesn't say any particular version number, right? Express has it. All of that has it. No cache Python 2 make add no cache APK not found. So the latest one doesn't even have the APK. Yeah, for some reason after that, like I will look into it, but again my current version should not like mess with that. All it should have been is like the Docker file. Oops. And that should have been same as the package with the following contents. Let me just see from the other uh, folder in there. uh, and then app when the Docker file. All I needed was this. I don't know why I was doing the other one. More than like that. So I'm just gonna copy this. Okay, let's give it a try one more time. Yeah, for some reason the tutorial I was looking at had that APK no cache. I think it is in the previous the getting started Docker file, and I wasn't focused, so I was messing it up. Yeah, all we just needed was a simple Node.js. If you look at this one, Docker file, you will just see that we don't need those APK, G++, all those things. So we were able to do that. Now, if you look at the Docker uh, image ls, you will see that that has been and that's in there. In order to create an like a container and run it, we'll say docker run. Uh, that at the port number we wanted it to run on 3002 and 33, that's the port of the application. And then to do list python app, and again w30m localhost http slash slash localhost 3002. Can't load that. Oh, sorry about that. Need a colon in there. And now you are looking in there. No error. But if I open it in the browser, 3002, I can see it. Yeah, this one is not showing it, but like if you open it in the browser, you will be able to see that. That's all I wanted to cover. We have the image and the container running, and that's all I wanted to cover in this video.